chronological order if we can. Benoit Saint-Denis. I have to admit, I was a little bit surprised. If only because you have told me in the past, like, you need to get up in the morning, right? You need to get excited. You need someone who's going to get the blood boiling, et cetera, et cetera. And you've been very vocal about this. And I think he's tremendous. I think he's a future title contender, a future champion, future being the key word. What was your reaction when you were first approached with him as the name?
I was surprised. I thought it was, going to be a more well-known fighter. Because in my head, I was like, maybe a legacy fight, maybe a RDA, maybe another former champ. I don't know, just something. I thought the offer I'd get from the UFC would be something more like that. But like you said, I needed something to get me up in the morning. And I respect this sport and I honor this sport. And I'm 35 years old now. This guy's a young, hungry lion who's on a streak, finishing, I think he finished 5 fights in a row. And somebody gave me my shot, to crack in. So I respect the game and that's what I'm doing. Let's see if I still, March 9th, buy the pay-per-view and we'll see. We'll find out.
Okay.
You know the meme? You know the meme with the dog looking in the mirror? And he's like, I still got to do checking to see if I still got that dog in me. 5 rounds, March 9th.
So you feel, okay, so this proves that. By the way, the 5 rounds is interesting because there's never a set thing as to when they implement it for a non-main event. Was that your idea, their idea? How did we get to 5 rounds?
No, I told them, I said, yeah, I'll fight the guy, but let's do it 5 rounds.
Oh, wow. Okay, why? Why was that your suggestion?
Because I feel like the better fighter, unless something crazy happens early, Ariel, the better fighter wins over 5 rounds.
Yeah, so he hasn't been in that spot before. You've been in there countless times. You feel like you can test him by taking him into deep waters.
And just even if he doesn't fatigue or even if it's not deep waters to him, he's the god of war. That's what he wants, I feel like the rhythm, timing, my experience, I pick up on that stuff the longer the fight goes and I'll find openings and things like that. I prefer it.
And is this someone, he just had an incredible knockout against Matt Frivola.
I was there.
Yeah. Okay. So was he even on your radar at all? Like, even when you're watching him, are you thinking, okay, he might be in my crosshairs in 2024? Or did you view him as someone that was so far away?
I kind of viewed it as far away. I knew of him because he beat a teammate of mine, Thiago Moises. That's the first time I saw him fight. I didn't know about him until then. And then obviously I know who Matt Frivola is. And I was there in Madison Square Garden watching it live. So I was like, wow. Then he called me out when he got, and I was like, in my head, sitting there in a chair, cage side, I was like, no way that's happening. That this guy got some work to do. I think somebody even asked me backstage, what do I think about the call out? And I was like, this guy's got some work to do. This is my 30th fight in the UFC.
Wow.
But here we are.
That is crazy. And currently in the UFC rankings, you're ranked 3rd. He's ranked 11th. And we were trying to figure out before you came on, like, what's been the biggest gap in terms of ranking, and maybe like Petr Yan, Sean O'Malley, or Khabib, Ali Quinta, but they're not much bigger than 3 and 11. Is that something you look at? Did you even know this?
Man, rankings, I think that's more for the fans, honestly, bro. On any given night, any of these 15 guys and guys outside of that list can win a fight,
Okay.
Can win a fight against anybody. Yeah.
Because that's part of the thinking, right? Like, oh, this guy, get a few wins, crack the top, whatever. People do think this way. This has been a thing.
I don't know.
Clearly not you.
I don't care. I just scrap, man.
Okay. And even though the opponents haven't been maybe names such as yourself, I'm assuming you would agree he is a very talented fighter, right? Like, everything I said about him, you would agree with? Future contender, potential future champion, et cetera, et cetera.
For sure, man. He's a dog, I went back and started watching fights with my coaches and stuff, and his debut he came into the UFC, I think, short notice at 170 pounds and got hit with some huge shots and didn't really take a step backwards. He kept coming forward, kept staying in the fire. He has no quit in him. And those are the kind of fights that excite me, man. I know it's not good for me, but those are the kind of fights I want to be involved in, and it is what it is. He's got a huge momentum in Europe, right? Apparently he's like a really big star there.
Yeah.
Now that MMA is legal. Mike Brown calling me.
Hmm. You want to take that?
You know,
Okay.
no,
All right.
I'll call him back. And he finished 5 guys in a row. UFC likes him. He's getting traction. So I'll be the judge of that. You know, I'll be the judge if he's ready.
Of course, I'd be remiss if I don't ask you about last Thursday. What, if anything, you can tell us about, and I'm not trying to make it awkward between you and the UFC, but you did scare a lot of people with your initial tweet, and then a couple hours later, we found out all's well that ends well. What could you tell us about what happened when you initially tweeted that the fight was off, and then later on tweeted that all was good, and you reconnected with your manager, and everything had been rectified?
I don't want to dive too deep into it. There was some miscommunication. Not everybody was on the same page, and I couldn't get a hold of somebody, and things got a little bit confusing for me. And I was waiting to hear something, but it is what it is. Fight's on.
Okay, and you feel good about where everything stands?
Yeah, I feel great.
Okay, and I know you were initially talking maybe 300. You fell one event short. Now, some of the fans, I don't know if you look.
No, they offered me this fight for 300.
Oh, really? Okay. What happened?
Yeah, I was talking with Hunter, and we were like maybe the opening of the pay-per-view, maybe the second fight of the pay-per-view, and then 299 we started talking about, and to be the co-main event, I'm like, that's a much bigger slot. It's close to my training camp. It's close to home. You know, from New Orleans, straight flight to Fort Lauderdale or to Miami is easy to do for people. So I wanted to be part of 300, you know, but this just made more sense, I think.
Wow. Okay, so this was your call. Like if you would have said, give me 300, you would have been on 300.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they did. They offered it.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, some fans are saying that 299 is actually a better card than 300, obviously with your fight being included. So who really cares?
This card is stacked for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card is stacked, and we don't know the 300 main event yet, so we'll see.
Again, I don't know if you look at this stuff, but currently you're listed as the underdog. How do you feel about that?
I would bet on myself if I could, but unfortunately, I cannot.
Why do you think you're the underdog?
That's how I feel about it. I'm not sure because I lost my last fight. Maybe. I'm 35. He's 28. He finished 5 guys in a row. You know, he's finishing all of his wins in his career. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Is that the kind of thing that disrespects you? Do you feel disrespected by it? Do you feel motivated by this? Do you feel any sort of way about it?
Bro, my whole life I've been an underdog, Ariel. This is where I perform the best.
So maybe this is the perfect spot for you coming off last July.
Yeah, this is perfect.
When you dream about Benoit Saint-Denis, when you dream about this fight, what are you envisioning about how it plays out?
That I stop him. Over 25 minutes. I don't know. I think I can submit him or knock him out. He looks very physically strong, man. You know, he's got a takedown in every one of his fights. Good judo, good jiu-jitsu, big kicks, you know, throws everything with power. Very dangerous guy. I think his best attribute is his mentality, his mental toughness, and his grit. You know, when he's in there, he's there to fight. You got to really, if I'm going to get him out of there, it's got to really happen. This guy's not going to find a soft spot on the mat. You know, I gotta put him down.
He's like releasing hostages back home. Like he was in the army, and he's got a crazy background. So I agree with your assessment. It seems like the kind of guy that is not going to look for an easy way out early on, right?
Right. Or long term. You know, I got to really stop this guy.